Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Breakthrough Conversations. My name is Brett English.
My name is Ryan Ortega.
We've got Jordan Doropoulos in the house again for part 2. And I want to chat to you about your silent retreat, bro.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard of that before. I know that monks have done that kind of stuff, but
How
what did
about
you
you?
experience? What is a silent retreat and what did you experience through it?
Yeah, awesome. Hey guys, thanks for
Yeah.
having me back. So there's a few different styles of silent retreat. I'll first get that off. So there's Vipassana style silent retreat, which is known worldwide. That's a free one. You go there and you just donation base. It's the exact same wherever you do it around the world.
Yeah.
And it's a very yang style meditation. So throughout that, I didn't do the Vipassana. This is what the Vipassana is.
Yeah.
So it's a yang style. Now you go there, and your first block has to be a 10-day or a 14-day block.
Okay.
And in those 10 days, you spend 8 to 10 hours in meditation. 3 of those hours have to be complete stillness. So they'll let you know when it's like the stillness hour, and you sit in complete stillness, sitting up, do not move, right? For 1 hour at least. So if you've got a scratch or if you've got flies coming onto whatever it is, you've got to, their idea is that anything's temporary. So the pain, the sensations, everything's temporary. So when you're sitting there and you're in agony and it's been 45 minutes and you've not moved, you can just breathe through that pain. That's their idea of it. So it's a very, very harsh style of, and then they limit your foods. Like you only eat 6 in the morning, I think it's 6, 11, and then you eat like an apple at 4 o'clock and that's all you get for the day.
All the whole day?
Yeah, and then so that's what they feed you. And then you sleep like on the floor or like bunk beds and stuff. Like it's very, very intense style
Very
of meditation.
humbling as
Yeah, which is very transformative. Like I've heard great things. I'm going to sign up and go do one.
Yeah, I'm actually keen as well.
Yeah, it sounds very intense, but it's just that meditation style. The one that
okay.
I went through is a different style altogether. The girl that facilitates it, she's from functional spirituality, Ava, and went down there. It's 7 days. It was originally 7 days. It got cut back to 5 days because she was unwell, with the option to extend for 2 days by yourself. So it's not structured. You can still stay in silence and do your own thing for the last 2 days, which is what I've done.
Cool.
I still had
Yeah.
7 days.
7 days as well.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
Yeah, it's really good. But the beauty about this one was you can bring a journal, like a blank journal, which is Vipassana you can't. You can, they do yoga and they do meditation. So the whole journey is a very yin style compared to that hard Vipassana style. So you, throughout the day, this is sort of what my structure would be for the 7 days or so I was down there. I get up at 5:30, have a shower, go make a cacao, and then you've got no phones, so you turn your phone off and hand it into them, so no phones whatsoever.
For the whole time straight?
For the whole time, no phones, no books, so you can't read any books because that's distracting your mind. The idea of a silent retreat is to be with you, reflecting with yourself. You don't make eye contact with anyone else that's on the retreat. You literally stay to yourself, like complete disconnection from everyone.
Yeah.
You just listen to the facilitator when they speak.
Wait, how do you not make eye contact with someone?
You look down.
Oh, damn, okay.
So like you literally, if I'm speaking to you now, well, I obviously wouldn't be speaking to you because it's silent, but if we say go to cross paths and I'm looking down and I can see you walking my peripheral, I might just stop, might just do that, and then you can walk through. And then as I've allowed you to walk through, then I'll continue walking. So it's not, you literally, and then they ring a bell for dinner. So when the bell goes, you go up, you line up, you don't look at people, you go there, plate up your food, you go sit down and you eat your food.
Wow.
So
Oh, damn, okay.
it's literally full disconnection, so it's just you and yourself. So yeah, so I get up, make my cacao in the morning, and then I go do my own cacao, like meditation and stuff like that. Sit there, drink that, then I journal a little bit, and then just do some gentle yoga flow myself. Yeah. Then you all meet for around, you meet at between 7 and 7:15 for 7:15 to start your practice. You do gentle drop-in meditation. Then you do a vinyasa flow, yoga flow. Then you do a long meditation at the end. Then you break for breakfast. That goes for about an hour. Then you come back once again. So Ava, the facilitator, will have some discussion points about what her beliefs are and how, because they're basing off this Hridaya yoga, is their philosophy of a way of teaching through this silence. And then it's learnt from, I'm going to forget his name, Ramada. He sat 30 years in silence. So this beliefs and what she's been trained up from is teachings of someone that sat for 30 years in silence.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's really long. So this is what she teaches you. So as she discusses these few topics, you're obviously there just in silence, sitting and listening to what she's discussing. She's got a whiteboard. She writes a few things up. It might just be like, okay, we're going to start to do some anchor breathing, say connecting into your heart. So all of it is leading up to deepen your meditation practice, right? And then once she does the discussion topics, once again, we'll do a drop-in meditation. We'll do some restorative yoga and then a longer meditation. You break for lunch. That's from 12:30 till 4. And in that time, it was down in Denmark, so it was out in the woods there. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So you could go for a walk out. There's like the Biblum tracker on there. You can go for a walk if you want to. It was so awkward. Like you walk past hikers and they're like, morning or hi. And you're just like not even looking at them, saying a word. I'm like the people when I go on a hike, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like, how polite to everyone. And then I was like, that person not saying hello to anyone. And I was like, maybe everyone that I pass is like on a silent retreat. So yeah, you just wouldn't say anything. You just go for a bit of a walk. Like my lunchtime routine was I'd get there, I'd eat, and then let it digest for about 5 or 10 minutes. Go for a nice long bush walk. Just really like a meditative walk. So like really conscious of where I was stepping, what I was doing, and how just being as present as possible. And then once I finished that walk, I'd come back and there was like an inlet there where a lake was. And I would go for a swim there, and fuck me, it was so cold. It was like an ice bath, genuinely like an ice bath.
Denmark is freezing.
Yeah. And it was like all the sensations you get in your wrists and fingers and hands when you're in an ice bath, exactly the same.
Wow.
So like I made it a promise to myself, like every day I'd get in there for 10 minutes and just like sit in there neck deep, and then I would just breathe for 10 minutes, like just slow my breathing down.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it was really powerful. The more every day I did it, the more powerful it got, because obviously it was more in silence.
Yeah.
And then I'd finish that. I'd go back, have a warm shower, get changed, sort of ready for the evening session. I'd make like another cup of cacao, and then I'd just go down and do some journaling for about an hour. And then we'd come back to start the afternoon practice. Once again, she'd have a bit of a discussion about what this meditation might be. She would then drop in meditation, very soft style yin yoga, and then a longer meditation practice. Then you break for dinner. And then after dinner, once again, you come back and you could actually write some notes throughout like the experience. You can write some notes that were, I don't know, what did you mean by heart anchoring or something like that? Or what did you mean by this when you spoke about that? And then you just leave it on her mat at the front, and then after dinner she would pick up the notes that were written from people, and she would go, okay, this heart anchoring, this meant this, or you should feel this. So we got questions so we can still communicate without communicating. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like I'm really having these crazy visions. Does this mean something or whatever? Do you know what I'm saying? And then she could just from her understandings explain and talk about that. Which was a good way to be able to do it. Some people, like I wrote a poem and she read a poem out and stuff like that, which was pretty cool. She would read a poem during meditations and stuff, which was really nice. And then we'd done a nighttime meditation, and then she'd finish that up, and there was like a fire and stuff in there. So after that would finish, she'd sit by the fire for a bit and then journal a bit more and then go to bed and do it again the next day.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was just a lot of meditation. Yeah.
7 days. That would be interesting to see how you come out on the other side.
Yeah.
What was each day like, and your thoughts and your feelings as it was carrying on?
So what my experience personally, I set my intention of reflection. That was my intention for the whole 7 days, to reflect on my life as a whole.
Yeah.
Both at this present moment, but also what's happened to me in the past, and how much I've achieved in my life, and then also the bad things, everything. So I started writing, when I was journaling for the hour at each lunch, I started writing forgiveness letters and letters of love. Like love to myself for how much I've achieved, love to my friends and family, to whatever would come out. And then forgiveness to like the people that bullied me through school, the abuse, all these different stuff, people that have traumatized me. So from my experience through that, it was really tough, to be honest. Like meditating and sitting through those things was was beautiful. It was really nice and enjoyable, and I could really switch off and drop in quite deeply, which I really enjoyed. It was just really hard when I was journaling to let go and do that kind of stuff. So for me, that was probably the biggest challenge. In the actual silence was not a challenge whatsoever. For me, I could have definitely stayed longer in silence.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like I was quite content in silence. I didn't really want to come out of it, and it hurt. Like you get a massive headache when you come out of it.
Really?
Because when you start speaking, like my throat was sore, my chest was sore. But then I also, because when they speak as a facilitator, it's very soft, it's very gentle. No one else is talking. So there's no, the past, there's some chants, there's some mantra, then there's silence, there's all sorts. So you're in silence, but it's not necessarily silent around you. Whereas this was complete silence unless the facilitator's talking. So everything was soft and quiet. And then when you come into people like in Perth, like I got home and Mum was talking and I was like, lower your voice. Yeah, like it was actually really hurting me. Like I was getting a headache because of how intense the sound was in my ears.
Wow.
Because you've gone 7 days silence, you've not spoken, not said anything.
Maybe you healed some of your ears as well, man.
Yeah.
So intrigued, man.
Yeah. It's so it was quite profound. Like I had each meditation was different. Sometimes I'd struggle to slow my mind down a bit because maybe like something had come on my mind. I'm like, oh wow, and then like I'm trying to drop out of that, but something has come up.
Yeah.
And I found journaling what was coming up was helping me let go of it to then go deeper, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then what did I speak about? It was the third day, I had like the most beautiful experience of my whole entire life ever. And I've been meditating for over 12 years.
Wow.
And I sat in meditation for the afternoon practice, and we sat there. I just sat like on a bolster because you can get really comfortable here. Like in this meditation, you can sit up on a couch. You can prop yourself up with heaps of pillows. Get super comfortable when you go to do the longer meditation. So that so you're not in pain. You're not thinking, like you can really focus on dropping in. Because Hridaya Yoga, their understanding from Ramada is they just want to awaken. That's the whole reason why they sit in silence, is to get spiritual awakening. That's the only reason. That's what they want to aim for. And all these teachings are to learn or to get towards an awakening. Right?
What's that called again?
What? Hridaya Yoga.
Hridaya.
Yeah, Hridaya Yoga. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, how's that different to like the vinyasa and the yin?
Well, I actually asked that question when I was on there. I was like, how is Hridaya Yoga and this understanding different to like the 8 limbs of yoga, sort of what I touched on last time when I was here? They're already at the meditative state, right? So they're not doing, the vinyasa is the like third 8 limb. So like your nama and niyamas and dhayamas, them two are the beginning two of like the universal code of conduct and your code of conduct, and then it's your asanas, which is your postures and practice. That's your vinyasa down here. Then meditation and self-realization are the 7 and 8. Their Hridaya Yoga isn't really about this. It's more sitting in silence and practicing these beliefs to find self-actualization or realization. So you're already at the top of the table, if you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the asanas or movement or postures were created in yoga to be able to sit for a long time in meditation. That's the reason why that people practice yoga traditionally.
Yeah.
To get to meditation, so they can sit for hours and hours to meditate. Whereas we just done gentle movements so your body wasn't sore, so you could sit for longer. But the basis of what was being studied to us, or what she was preaching to us, teaching us and guiding us through these meditations, was this a style of Hridaya Yoga to find self-realization. So we're already at that meditative state. So you get what I mean? That's the difference between a vinyasa flow and Hridaya Yoga. What they're teaching is already at that meditative state. Whereas a vinyasa yoga is just the asana, it's just the postures.
Yeah.
You don't sit after a yoga class for 2 hours and meditate. You know what I mean? It's not like a 3-hour yoga class where you go to do an hour yoga and then 2 hours meditation. Whereas this is sort of what it is. It's like we're just sitting in meditation and we're doing a bit of an asana practice to loosen our body up so then we can sit deeper in meditation.
Okay. I see.
Yeah,
it makes more sense. Yeah.
So their understanding of that, and then the third day came, and it was the afternoon so it was after lunch. We sat there and instead of propping myself up, because it was just going to be the 5 or 10 minute meditation at the beginning before you drop in, I just grabbed a bolster, put it underneath me, sat on that. I thought I was going to be there for a short period of time, didn't get super comfortable. And within like 2 minutes of her speaking, I was like fucking deep. I was so deep in this meditation. I was like, holy shit. And she kind of just kept speaking and I was listening to guiding, and then I just was going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I was like, wow, like I've not experienced, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, eh?
Yeah,
I've literally had not experienced like just that change so quickly. Then she's guided everyone out of the meditation to start the yin practice. I didn't even hear that. I was so deep. I ended up missing the whole yin practice because I sat in meditation. I literally did not move.
That's awesome.
But whilst I was there, I started getting this like tingling feeling through my body of blissful feeling, like real, I don't know, you could say like an enlightenment feeling, just this bliss feeling. And then I felt
those shivers going through your body, like big energetic
like,
surges.
yeah, sort of like, it was like this energetic field that was coming through me, but then I felt like underneath me, I was starting to just levitate. And you know, if you sit in a position, just go sit down, cross-legged now for an hour, you'll probably have pains in your knees and stuff like that. Right?
Pins and needles, something
Yeah.
like that.
Nothing. I felt no pain. I got quite a bad back, so whenever I meditate, I need to support my knees and back because my back's very sore. Nothing at all. I had no pain in my back, no pain in I just felt like I was like sitting on a cloud, levitating. Wow. And then my consciousness just started going higher and higher and higher. Then I just started seeing this like beautiful light started coming, and it was like getting brighter and brighter. And that's where like I literally had no idea where I was, who was around. I had no concept of what was going on externally other than what was happening with my mind there and then. And as I was going deeper, higher and higher, I could like turn, like say I would turn to the left in my head and I'd look to the left, and as I'm up there, I would see those bullies, the people that I've been journeying to. I'd see the people that abused me and stuff like that, the people that had all these different stuff. And I was like, wow, and I started seeing love towards all these people. And then I seen my family, friends. I literally had flashbacks of yoga, everything, like so much throughout my life. And I was seeing so much love towards everyone. Like I didn't, every little thing that had agitated me before, I was just finding love towards. And I saw nothing but like this euphoric piece of love, like full state of like joy and happiness and bliss. I literally felt, I can't, it's so hard to explain what I felt, but I could just see nothing but love for everyone.
Wow.
And then eventually it slowly started to coming down and coming back away. And like that state of being up there slowly started dropping away. And then eventually it kind of got to a point where I was like, no, come back. Like sitting there meditating, I'm like, no. And then kind of like opened my, like eventually kind of realized I was back in my body now and I'm here. And then kind of like, I was like, okay, I'm going to open my eyes. And everyone was like Shavasana. They've just finished like a fucking 75-minute yin class. And
oh
my
God.
And I was like, oh shit. So like lay back down. I just like waved to like the facilitator. Like I smiled at her and she smiled back. I like went down there, laid down. And I was like, wow, that was beautiful. And then she goes, all right, now just rolling to one side and we'll make our way to prep for meditation. I'm like, fuck. I was like, oh no. So yeah, I ended up sitting back up and then doing a long meditation again. But
was there any difference between that meditation and the first one?
That meditation, I was just happy. The second one, I was just like, yo, that was cool. I was just listening to it because she was guiding the next one and thing. And I was just listening to that. I was just in a state of awe of what had just happened.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, like I've never experienced, I can only presume that might be that feeling of enlightenment or feeling of like when you get, of what monks try to chase all the time. Because I was like, I've never felt that ever, like go, wow, like that was, I just have not, it was just to that level that it was like, wow, and I didn't get back there again. Like that was, I probably might not for years again, you know what I mean? It was just at that certain point of time. And it was quite beautiful because the teachings of Ramada are that everyone, he doesn't believe, he's like non-dualism, so like everyone's a being, like there is no higher God, there's God in your heart, we are all God.
Yeah.
And then they believe that we're all like love, so much love and empathy comes from your heart and that connection center there. And that's sort of what we were working on towards, like, and that's what the meditations were and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, like this is, and like for whatever, I got to that point where like I felt nothing but love within my heart and I just felt like we were all one. So I saw like all those traumas, the past, everything just love, and like we're all beings, we're all okay. And like I forgave him. I was like, you knew nothing else. I can't control your actions. Like it's okay. This is what's happened. Like, and I just felt, just this real sense of love towards everyone and towards everything that had happened. And I was like, wow, it was just super, super life changing. Like it was just such a profound experience. And then I was like sitting there, like I just wanted to tell everyone, but I can't say anything. And I was like, fuck. I was like, I just had the best experience ever. I was like, this is so cool. But I literally. Yeah, I was like, fuck, that was, it was really...
How was that, not being able to tell everyone this incredible happening?
Yeah,
The big lesson
I don't know, it just made me realise, like, you don't have to do things for everyone else, or, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I'd done that for me, and that was so good for me, like, and I was so okay with that. Like, it doesn't... as much as I wanted to share it with everyone, I'm like, yeah, but that's not them. That's not their journey. Like that was just so beautiful for me. I really loved that, and I really enjoyed that. Like and that's that was really learnt that you to be okay with just being yourself, and like and if these things happen, like you don't have to be running around telling everyone. It's just like I'm sure they would have loved to have heard that experience and said that was really cool, really enjoyable, but. You know, it was at the same time, it was really nice to just go, okay, it was nice to absorb that and process all of that myself too.
Yeah, without having like other people like external input in it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh wow, like you got there, I wish I got to that, and then ego starts kicking. Like, I got there, you guys didn't get there. Not you know what I mean though? Like it was like it's like you're not gonna think like that, but it's like constantly, I got there. It's like, so you literally just strip all that ego, which is the beauty about a silent retreat. It's fucking you and your ego in your head, because you notice it so much more. You're like, okay, why is this coming up now? Why is this? And I'm going to sit with that and turning towards everything. So like having those, like it's a self-inquiry style of meditation as well. Like looking towards what's coming up and why it's coming up, instead of going, I'm just going to put it aside now and just sit and be present. I'm going to look towards it and start to unravel what it actually is and why it's coming up and why it's feeling there for me. And maybe it could be this or that, maybe it's not. But okay, this is what I felt and found out from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you had like a lot of, quote, ego deaths during that time, where you had to sort of just be with it, surrender to it, and it would just change or adapt or just dissolve?
Yeah, I definitely felt I was letting go of ego deaths in certain areas that were like sort of coming up, and it felt like when I journaled that let that go.
Yeah.
And then what I actually did.
That's for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you, bro. Yeah. on the second last night. We're doing the second last night. So everyone on the fifth day, a lot of people left the retreat. Yeah. So we had like a closing circle. And in that closing circle, I chose not to speak. I was the only one who didn't want to speak at all. Some people broke their silence, and then we're going to go back into silence to share. I just wrote a letter, and then Ava, the facilitator, read that letter out for me. It's just saying thank you for sharing this beautiful space with everyone, because it was hectic, man. Like you'd be sitting next to someone in meditation, the next minute they're bawling their eyes out. Do you know what I'm saying? And you're there like, and the next minute you're bawling your eyes out or something like that. Like so much comes up, but like at the same time you can't help anyone. You can't like
you can't say anything.
You can't say anything. You just it's your journey. Obviously, there's co-facilitators there. Like, are you okay? Like, and it's like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, sort of a thing. You just kind of go through it. So they all shared, which was really nice. But then that night, I asked, there was a couple girls that were still staying in the cabin, the shared cabin that we're all in. And I just wrote them a little letter saying, can I have some time alone in front of the fire? Like, and they respected that and then gave me some space. They were talking, so they chose to stay on but still talk. But they just stayed quiet whenever they were around me, which was really nice in respect. But yeah, they left, and then all these letters, and that speak of that ego death, what I felt when I was writing down to let go of that attachment that I had to all these things, or this, you're this person because of this, or they made you because of that, rah, rah, rah.
All the stories.
Yeah, all the stories, all that stuff that I'd written, man, it was pages and pages. Like we'd never written so much in my life, just kept writing. When you're in a clear mindset, you just become so creative and everything's coming up. So as you're writing, you just keep letting it go and it just flows, that state of flow. Do you know what I mean? And then I sat there and I just quietly read every single letter I wrote, ripped it up and threw it in the fire. And it was, you literally could have been you were probably hearing me crying up here in Perth. That's how loud I was, like, you know, that weeping, like funeral weeping?
Yeah.
Like someone's just died, like that. letting go. And for me, that was a huge ego death shift of just like, I've let this go. Like, it's okay to let it go and to move forward. And even just reading the letters of love to my family, to my thing, just crying, and to myself, like being proud of yourself and just ripping it up. And it's okay, it's okay, everything's okay. Like, look how much you've achieved, look how much you've gone through, and look at where you are today, sort of a thing. Being able to just process all of that and let it go all in silence was powerful.
Yeah.
It was very powerful.
No therapist needed.
Yeah, legit. It was so funny. I don't know if I should share stories, but there was a couple of girls that were like in the end of the sharing circle where they were just like, why the fuck have we been paying this therapist the last 3 years? I come down here and get more than 5 days out of the last 3 years. And people are like cracking up laughing, and I'm just there trying not to break my silence. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty funny. I was like, oh, it's so, yeah.
Did you burn the love letters as well? The letters of love?
Yeah,
Okay.
I let everything that I wrote, I let go, except for like the couple of poems that I wrote. So I wrote a few poems. I didn't burn those. Yeah, they were nice. I've never written a poem in my life. I came back and said to mum and dad, like, I wrote a poem, and they were just like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? I was like, me writing a poem. I didn't even write a poem in school, and you're meant to write poems. So yeah.
The rap.
Yeah.
That's rapping.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it was just, you get that sense of full flow creativity. Like, I was walking, and I don't know how, I couldn't even say it now, but I'd be walking, see the trees, and then they'd blow, and then you'd be like, the way the trees, winds blow, the leaves, but I don't know, and then all this stuff would be going in your head, and you're just so present, observing what's going on and allowing that to flow. That's how, like, you come up with the poems, you come up with different things and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you talk to spirit during that time?
I didn't, how can I put it? I spoke to spirits and guides in the morning when I had my cacao ceremony, as in, like, let's go on this journey of today together.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to just connect, because my intention wasn't really to connect higher with spirit. My intention was to reflect on, because I felt like that's what I needed at that point in time. Whereas I feel like if I went through like a Vipassana or a 10-day one of those harder ones, I'd feel like I'd want to be connecting with spirit. I want to be working through it and trying to, you know what I'm saying, get a little bit higher on that side. Whereas this one was very gentle, yins, and I was like, this is a perfect time for me to reflect everything on what's happened to me, and then be able to let go of that.
Beautiful.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Fair.
I would only, just call them in to protect me and stuff like that, like the
fair
kind of
enough.
stuff you do in the mornings, and then kind of like, okay, let's sit with that from there and how that goes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, which was quite powerful. It was crazy though, like, to hear everyone's stories when they were sharing at the end and stuff at the sharing circle. It was very, it's just crazy to hear everyone's experiences and how deep people go, and everyone's got such a different experience. Like, everyone experiences so many different things. Like, you could be sitting there thinking, like, everyone's experiencing something else. You know what I mean? So you could be there thinking, like, this is so great, this is so thing, and then someone could be like, fuck, I'm struggling right now. I'm really, and you cannot tell because everyone's just sitting there meditating.
True.
Like, it was very, very energetically exhausting though, draining. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I came back, and it took me, like, I took a whole day to integrate back in, just laid on the couch and sort of did nothing the day I came back.
Did you feel like a different person energetically when you came back?
Oh, I definitely felt I had reached a more conscious state, like real. I was like, wow, like, I've really connected on a whole nother level now. And it took me probably about a week and a half to get back into, like, speaking quicker. I was just doing everything super slow. I was like, would speak slower. I'd process things a lot more quicker. I even feel now like my presence is a lot more calming and a lot more consistently grounded than it was before. Because I really found, like, I've learned it's so important to meditate daily, or to meditate and do all these things. But it's so often we forget to ground ourselves. You go to that higher state and you forget to ground yourself, and then you're just off in this higher consciousness all the time. And it's like, you really need to pull yourself back down, which I found deep in my spiritual practice, because I go out every day at lunch when I did my walk, I'd stop, connect with the trees, connect with Mother Earth, ground myself back down, so that when you're going up and down through these meditations, you're grounding yourself back down and coming from that true self, instead of like, okay, I'm up here, because you know you do it, you feel unbalanced, I'm thinking, it's like, wow, I need to go see like a balance, an energy balancer or healer or Reiki or something like that to balance things out, because you've done so much work to get to this higher level and you've forgotten to ground yourself back down. So I really noticed after that I've gotten to like I feel like I've gotten to another level, a higher level of frequency, but I've learnt a lot more tools that's allowing me to continue that, if that makes sense.
I'm with you.
In regards to being able to, you really got to ground yourself. And it's like, I listened to a podcast and they were talking about like grounding mats, earthing mats and stuff like that. And then just if you don't have an earthing mat, just get out on the grass like for 10, 15 minutes a day and just put your feet out in the grass and just allow that energy. And it's crazy because they speak about earthing and like how important it is for your bodies. They say like the guy that invented this has an electrical background, which I understood deeply, because when things get inflamed or something goes wrong with your current wires for electricity, it goes straight down to earth to protect people so you don't die and stuff like that.
Oh, true.
Right?
Yeah,
So what they're saying, he has this same concept of that your body's so inflamed and there's so much current through inflammatory through your body, through illnesses, through these different things, that your body's not having an escape to go to earth. By earthing yourself every day, you're reducing that inflammation throughout your body.
Wow.
So allowing, the podcast was unreal. I was like, wow, that really makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah, and I was like, that really, especially coming from an electrical background, I understood what he was saying. I was like, yeah, okay, that really lands. And then from there, I was like, that. I think that's why now being able to move forward and being able to stay grounded more so helps you be more clear within yourself to be able to go to higher states and whatnot.
Is there a technique you have to ground without putting your feet on the ground?
You can do like
building or like something too.
Yeah, you can do like a grounding meditation. You can do like it's just about pulling yourself back down and then feeling that energy coming out. Because when you meditate, obviously you send yourself up to that higher frequency, and you're reaching that state of enlightenment. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to get up, you're connecting with your higher self when you start meditating. But let's bring that down and start to drop it back in. It's like when you do like a chakra meditation. You know, you bring it right at the end, usually at the end of the chakra meditations, you'll bring them all the way back through and allow the energy to flow through your root chakra. So you've gone through and cleared them all, and then you're coming back down to ground yourself.
Okay.
So the idea of that is, so you can do that. I also like to, one of my favorite ways is like in the shower in the morning. Like I've spoken to so many people about this. I would just stand in the shower and then just let the water run on me. Yeah. And just breathe and then just ground myself through that. So you're just grounding through there. If you're not literally out on the grass or hugging a tree or anything like that, at least that way you're just breathing, letting the water thing, just allow yourself to just come back in, ground, and just feel yourself back in your body. You know what I mean? So like it's just having a bit of breath, let the water run off you. I'm just grounding here. I'm connecting with the water. I'm connecting with myself. I'm just slowing down.
Yeah.
How long do you usually do that in the morning?
What, in the shower?
Yeah.
Oh, I just do it like, if I say I'm going to have like a 10-minute shower or something, I do it for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh,
when
okay,
I first get in, I sort of just get in. I usually put on have a shower and then a hot and cold shower.
Yeah.
And then when I have it like cold shower, that's when I slow myself down, try to breathe through that, like the coldness.
Okay.
And just really feel the energy come from the top of your head, and then breathe inwards and downwards towards your feet. So like in and down, but like calm and slower.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, now, and then I don't know, I feel grounded and within my body when I come out of it, but I feel super energized.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like when you're grounded and in your body, I feel so much more connected with myself, that I feel so much more better, both energetically and physically. Like I just feel like everything's working so much more. But when you're so out of balance or disconnected, you obviously know, like with energies and stuff. Yeah, and it's like, wow, like I don't really feel myself. I don't feel where I'm going, but just that sense of grounding really brings you back into your sense of self.
Then there's like little pieces of your energy like all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. It's everywhere. Like you're putting it, and you put so much energy into other people, to other things. You kind of just forget to like fill your cup or just connect back in. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, and it's so important. And I've found that, even just like getting out in the sun or just getting out in nature, how important it was. Yeah, and just being, I definitely think that was. I don't know, I just felt so rejuvenated after going for the walks and doing like the cold swim, breathing through it. I just felt so much more in my body when I came back after every lunch.
Yeah.
Like, and that's obviously, that was the third day after lunch was when I went to like the highest I'd ever been. So it was like, I found like I came back and then I was like, bang, I was dropped in super deep on this meditation. And I think having that understanding and connection with Mother Earth and just that grounding, sense of grounding. And I didn't listen to this podcast about grounding until I came back from it, and I was like, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, wow, this all makes sense as to why I was feeling that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, that makes sense as to why I was there. And then I spoke to my mum about it, and she got a grounding mat to put over their bed.
Cool.
And it
You plug
connects
into the
it.
PowerPoint,
Yeah,
right?
and it goes to Earth.
Yeah.
The earthing one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sick as fuck.
Yeah, and it's like, and she put it on without telling my old man, and she's like, how have you been sleeping the last week? He goes, I've been sleeping so well.
Oh, wow.
So good. And it's like, it's literally, it helps. You can feel it. Like I've got one, so I put it under my feet when I'm on the computer, on the desktop, like
dope.
laptop and stuff.
Yeah.
Put it down, you feel it tingle at the bottom of your feet. Literally, you feel the energy, the earthing.
Wow. I reckon it could be like the radiation from the computers and devices also getting stuck to you but releasing.
Yeah, as well. But even if like I just sat there and I was just, I don't know, watching TV or listening to a podcast or something, I'd be the exact same. You can feel that energy at the bottom. You feel the tingle at the bottom of your feet. And it's just grounding. And it's like I said, it's just pulling out that information.
I'm going to buy some of those, eh?
Man, unbelievable. Really good. Yeah, really
That'd
good.
be pretty cool to have.
You should sell those.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am. You want to buy one? Yeah.
Probably.
Wait, how much are they?
I think it was only about $400 for a set. That's what Mum got.
Oh, okay.
So she got the bed set and then 2 mats that you can put your feet on.
Yeah.
But maybe the mats are like $100 or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
it
not
depends.
bad.
Yeah. And then if you want the bed one as well, the bed one would be pretty cool. But I just use the mat one for when I'm on the computer and stuff like that.
Yeah, so so the bed one, does it go under the bed?
So it's underneath your sheet because you've still got to be sitting on it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's underneath your sheet.
Yeah.
Like underneath the sheet that goes over your doona. So it's on top of your bed, but it's super thin. So you wouldn't, how can I put it? It doesn't upset your comfort. So it's still, like my dad didn't even know it was on there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was like, it was the mat and then a sheet and then dad. And he didn't notice it was on there. So it's super thin, but it's like, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, so it won't impact your mattress or anything like that for sleeping and stuff.
That's pretty cool,
Yeah,
man.
because
I
Mum's
didn't even
like,
know
this
you could get
thing's so thin like this. And I was like, well, imagine if it's hard. Then you're going to be sleeping on something hard. And she's like, that makes sense. She's like, hey, this thing sucks.
that.
No, it was, which is good. I highly recommend it. I reckon it was the podcast was on the School of Greatness. So I find out what one it is. It was a guy, and he, when I listened to it, I was like, man, everything that he says just made sense as to why earthing's so important.
Yeah.
And just grounding yourself back down.
Absolutely, man. Can I pivot this conversation quickly?
Absolutely.
I want to talk to you about, there's like a debate going on with men and women, right? If you're in a relationship with a woman, how vulnerable can a man be in expressing his problems and issues? Or do you think men should keep it to themselves and deal with it in other ways? Or what's your take on that?
Oh, that's a very good question. Very good question. No, I reckon be as vulnerable as you can.
Really?
Yeah, if you're being vulnerable and showing your true self, and that person doesn't want to show up and love you for your true self, that person's got the problems, not you.
True.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're showing your true self, I'll put my hand up and I'll cry in front of 1,000 people if I have to. If I'm being vulnerable and I'm opening up and I'm talking, you're showing your true self, and it takes more courage to let your guard down and be vulnerable in front of anyone, whether it's your partner, or whether it's a whole bunch of random people. To be vulnerable and let your guard down is a whole lot harder than going, yeah, that makes sense, that's good, yeah, that's true, I'll just deal with this on the side.
Yeah.
And then your partner's never really getting that connection either of being able to just really see how hard some days are, because days aren't going to be great. Like a prime example, I struggled. I had 2 days beginning of this week where I was so wiped out, so not myself, just really up and down, and I was like, everything got to me. Like the last 2 years of COVID, being locked down, my life before, I was traveling so much, I was exploring so much of the world, I was having such a good time.
Yeah.
Not saying I don't love my life now, but it just all got to me. I was like, wow, I've not been so free in so long.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I literally, and it just got to me. And I had those days. And I'm being vulnerable now saying that.
Yeah.
I was to my partner, I literally said, she's like, what'd you do today? I said, nothing. I laid in bed all day. And I was just down. And that's okay. Because everyone has those days. And if you're not going to be, not man enough to show it, but vulnerable enough to say, hey, look, I'm struggling. I've had a tough day today. That's okay. I'm going to be better tomorrow. But today I just need to process it and just let it come out.
Yeah.
You're going to earn so much more respect, not just from your loved one, but from all of your loved ones, everyone around you. And if that person sees you as weak, I really don't think that's the person for you.
True.
Do you know what I mean? If you're showing your vulnerability to someone, and yeah, look, I'm really struggling with this, or this is not working for me, or something, whatever it is, and this person can't be like, okay, I love you for who you are and what you are. That's okay. What can we do to make it feel better? Do you want to go see a counsellor? Do you want to talk to me? Do you want to talk to your parents? Do you want to talk to anyone?
Yeah.
Or do you just want no support, just a shoulder to cry on and listen to? What do you want? And then know that you're here for, I'm here for you. I'm backing you up. Because if someone's not going to do that, then man, I really don't think you're with the right person, personally.
True.
Yeah. I think
True.
it's so powerful for men to be vulnerable. Like, I think we're definitely talking about a society of empowerment for women and stuff like that, which is so true. Empowerment for women stepping up into their fields and doing what they want to do, which is a beautiful thing to see. And I agree with that 100%. But I think we should also be honouring men for not being as powerful. And the opposite, being vulnerable and showing, yeah, hey, men have feelings too. It's okay to cry. It's okay to put your hand up and say, oh, look, I've had a shit day today. Like, just because I meditate daily or do all these things doesn't mean I'm not going to have a shit day. Doesn't mean, like, I see our counselor, I see my thing, I see my stuff. Healers still got to heal, you know. Yeah. Teachers still got to learn. You're always learning. Just because you got an appointment, people might be like, wow, that dude's got it sorted. He just meditates all day long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If anything, like, that's harder because you're there facing what's coming up and working through it.
True.
You know, I think it's really powerful for men to be vulnerable.
Yeah. Where would we draw the line if it was like between like being vulnerable and still holding your masculine presence, and being too vulnerable and turning way too much into the feminine? If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like at least I personally believe like it is important for you to be vulnerable, to have a certain level of vulnerability with your partner. However, like that feminine, the feminine energy is much more emotional and is a lot more vulnerable, and she should have the even though she's your support system, you're more of her grounding than you're more of her masculine grounding. You know what I mean? Like, so you should be able to be vulnerable with her, but you still have to hold your masculine grounding. So how do you maintain that level of vulnerability without letting go of the masculine presence in the relationship?
Well, that's sort of that whole thing of saying, like, when I had those, like, literally had 2 days, I literally was like, I just need days to myself. That's that putting yourself, hey, I'm being vulnerable now. I'm not here to support you today. I'm not here to support anyone. I just need a day to myself to let it all go.
Yeah.
And let me get my head clear and okay, now I'm back. Now I'm here to support you. I'm here to support myself. I'm here to, because as long as you've got goals that you're working through together, not necessarily bad goals, just goals. Like, you got work, you got life, you're going to support her from that masculine side of like, yeah, you've got this. When you're a bit emotional, things go down, I got you to support you. It's not about saying, hey, nah, I can't got you because I got my own shit to sort out. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I'm too vulnerable this whole week. I'm too vulnerable this whole month. Then you're starting to get to that sort of depressed state and blaming, like, why me? Why this? I'm not in a state of like being able to help anyone. Whereas like, you're keeping that masculine state of, no, I'm going to support you. I'm going to back you up. I'm going to do this for you. Yeah, this is your goals. Sweet, this is my goals. You're doing that on a day-to-day basis. I just mean that it's okay from time to time to show that vulnerability of, hey, now today I'm tapping out. I can't support you. I need some support. I'm having a rough day. Not of like, it shouldn't be men doing it all the time. It shouldn't be females doing it all the time either.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's always going to be ups and downs, but it's just about understanding, I think, being okay to show it when that those days happen.
Yeah.
More so than just being like trying to hide it and be like, nah, today I'm feeling vulnerable, but I'm not going to say anything. And I'm going to just bottle it up and try to deal with it on the side so she doesn't think that there's anything wrong with me.
No, I'm weak.
That I'm weak. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because every day you're there for it. You're supporting her. You've got this. You're doing so well at your job. You're kicking goals. You wanted to achieve this. You've done it. I wanted to achieve this. I've done it. I'm fine. We're fine. Everything's great. On the side, fuck me. I'm struggling. I need to go see a counsellor. I'm going to do it on the side without her knowing. No. I personally don't think that's a good way to do it.
True. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's just allowing those 1 or 2 days. Like, I'm not saying now, like, I had those rough couple of days, just tapped out, just needed to reset, which is okay. And then I'm not doing it now. Like, today, cancel on you guys. say to her, look, I need help. I'm getting, and then having that full downward spiral of it happening every single day. Just allowing it to happen whenever it comes up, every now, like, it could be every now and then, just processing that day and giving you a day that's like, okay, I'm just gonna have a me day. I'm gonna do no work. I'm gonna turn the TV on, binge watch movies, eat some pizza. Who cares? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have a me day, bounce back from it and recover, stronger, better, move forward. Because if you don't have those little glimpses, like, I think that's where you get that point where it's like, okay, I'm going so well, and you'll just crash so hard.
Burn out.
Yeah, burn out.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's just more on that level of like, I've always got you. I'm always going to be that figure to support you. But in my days, like whenever I have a rough day or something like that, I'm going to put my hand up and say, look, I am having a rough day today. Can you be there for me? You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Because it is so important to hold that so they feel loved and secure, because that masculine energy is so strong and so powerful, you know? And it's like, okay, I'm going to support you, and that female energy is a lot more emotional than the male. So it's like, obviously they might have those down days a lot more than a male does.
Yeah.
But just whenever that day comes up for us as a male, just being open to it.
And then being able to share it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just showing that. It's like, and I think that's powerful in itself.
Yeah, I think the society nowadays is kind of like this. At least there's like two sections of society. So you've got like the blue pill, and then you've got the red pill, where they kind of say that if you're a masculine and you're holding your masculine ground, you shouldn't show any reminiscence of weakness to your partner or your girlfriend, your female, or the female that you're trying to attract, because for her, at least she's trying to be she's the emotional one. So you should be the one who's always like masculine grounded. You shouldn't be emotional, like to the point where it's kind of like they don't expect to see the male cry, kind of like that to that level, which is to me, I think it's kind of excessive, because there's so many things that could happen that could trigger that emotional response. Let's say like if your mom dies, like you know what I mean, like, well, what are you gonna do? It's like if you don't cry when your mom dies, there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like, I think society is kind of programming like men to be like super tough at the same time, but I think at least I find there's a gentle balance between like true masculinity, where you have a certain level of vulnerability that's gentle and masculine, and still able to hold yourself, which also, like you said, like having that certain level of vulnerability towards your partner is also showing strength. You know what I mean? Like, you can be like, if you're just hard all the time, you're not able to open up to your partner as much. You know what I mean? Whereas if you have a certain level of vulnerability, and you have the capacity to show a certain level of vulnerability, that level or that little bit of vulnerability towards your partner is going to make your relationship better. And it's also demonstrating a different level, a different layer of strength. So it's just kind of like finding that right balance between, you know, being like masculinely vulnerable and like being over vulnerable, where it's kind of like it starts trickling to like the feminine side of things, I guess. Yeah,
exactly. No, 100%. That's so true. And there's obviously, it can go either way. Like, you can go too much or one way or the other. But it's just showing. I just think, man, if you're having a tough day, just own it. You know, like, and if you're having continuous tough days, okay, let's go get some help for that.
Yeah.
To get you better, get you a bit more not masculine as such, but get you back on track to what you were doing before. Because I've found that personally, when working through traumas and through stuff, I've had to let those guards down and be vulnerable to work through that trauma that's come up. That being, I guess, a self-aware person.
Yeah.
Whereas you might get, like, you know, the rednecks in America that aren't very self-aware, and all they do is like, right, male, let's go, like, axe wood and stuff like that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, no female, I can't ever cry. Which I personally don't think that's the way someone should be. But that's just my opinion. But I feel you're definitely right, where it's like, you've got to have that balance where it's not too much of one way or too much of the other way. But I think it's just so important for males to be able to go, look, fuck, I'm having a shit day, man. Whether you're emotional or not, you might not be thinking straight, having a bit of a rough day, and just like, fuck, so much is going on, I'm just a bit down. I'm just having a rough day. Just need today to be left by myself, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's any less masculine by putting your hand up and saying that, and then the next day, like, I just needed that day to myself. Now I'm moving forward.
Yeah, I feel like all that's not
Yeah.
expressed
Yeah.
becomes suppressed.
Yeah.
And it will come out in different ways.
Yeah.
Whether you're drinking too much and something happens, or you get angry, or things go wrong when we suppress the emotions. And if you get to a point where you can't express your feelings, really, even if you do think it's going to be too much or too overwhelming, or it takes a week or a little bit longer, if you don't do it and be honest with yourself and where you're at, then it's a form of manipulation, because that's not your true self.
Yeah.
And whatever that is has to get dealt with, whether you lose the partner and then you're better off for the next one. But
exactly.
you can't suppress your truth inside of yourself.
No, you can't, because then you become out and where you'll be more angry towards people, yourself. You'll be more snappy. You won't be more present within your body. You won't be more grounded. You're drinking. You start binging pornography. You start binging. Other stuff, like you might just binge watching TV. You might do nothing, where like all your social media, all this stuff is starting to go down towards that, and then all these other things, because you're suppressing what you're feeling and not really turning towards it. Because I feel like if you're setting yourself goals and setting yourself things, and you're moving well, and then I've had a shit day, I'm going to work through it and I'm going to bounce back. The time you spend when you're feeling good and doing well, you want to spend well doing good things. You don't want to spend that time just getting fucked up. You don't want to spend that time just sitting there binge watching stuff or doing pornography. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. So it definitely does come out in certain avenues and areas when it comes through that.
Amazing.
For sure.
Sleep paralysis and your experience with that, and also how do you deal with that when things of that nature happen?
Yeah, wow. Sleep paralysis is pretty hectic, pretty scary. I got it quite bad, really bad, when I was younger, to a point where I would like come out of my body and completely see myself like sleeping there, and then in my head I'm like, okay, I need to move, and then I'm watching myself but nothing's moving, and then I'm like, okay, this is getting hectic, and then I'm like, I'm trying to move, it's like, I need to get up, Jordan, move. Fuck, all right, mum, like calling, screaming for mum, like as bad as I can. And I was like, what is the first, I was like so traumatized.
So
and then,
were you aware that you were both in your body and outside of your body at the same time?
Yeah.
When you were looking at yourself saying, I need to move, did you mean move astrally or move physically?
Like, I need to move. Like, why am I not moving? Why is nothing, but I'm up here watching myself of what's going on.
And also aware that you're in your body as well.
That like, okay, I'm looking back and literally seeing a clear picture of me right there in bed. And then I'm like to myself, I need to move. You need to move. Jordan, you got to move. Why are you not moving? Okay, mum, speak for mum. And then I'm just there asleep, like dead asleep.
Wow.
And I'm like, and it was the first few times it happened, I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then eventually, like, I would kind of come out of like come back into my body and like move around. I'm like, fuck. And then I'd just scream for mum. And I'm like, mum would like come down. So what's wrong? I was like, I like couldn't explain what would happen.
How old were you?
Probably, I reckon 10-ish, 10 or 11 was my first experience.
Damn.
And then through the teen years, it was a hit and miss quite a bit. I think it found I was getting a lot more sleep paralysis when I was getting bullied more at school. And then throughout the night, I'd get like a terrible night's sleep, but I'd be out there and scared of what was sort of going to be happening. And then I'd just be, I started to understand what it was when it was happening. So then I would just look at myself sleeping, but in my head, I was like afraid of waking up, if that makes sense. So like I was sort of like afraid of what was going to happen tomorrow because I've been getting bullied.
Oh, true.
But then I was watching myself in this state. I was sleeping up there, and like so my mind was going off and running through this stuff, and then I'd literally just be staring at myself as I'm sleeping, and it was weird because I obviously dream, but I don't remember my dreams. So when I go to sleep, I'll be asleep within like 5 minutes.
Damn.
And then
that's a superpower, bro.
Bro, but I'm like, people are like, oh man, I had this sick dream about this last night, that, and I'm like, no. I literally, alarm, bang, I'm straight up.
Oh,
I'm awake.
Just like instantaneously.
But yeah,
Boom.
but I'm like, there's a whole black patch.
Yeah.
So it's like whether I astro travel, whether I do whatever it is when I go to sleep, I just completely, once I'm down and out, I'm out. And there would be times where like I might roll over on my left side, you sleep on my left side, and I'll literally tuck up,
Yeah.
and then my alarm will go off, and I'm in that exact same position when I wake up. So it's like my body, I've not
Doesn't
moved
move at all.
Bro, would not move at all for 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever it is. I sleep, and then I wake up, and I'm hands exact same position. Everything's exact same position as when I went to sleep, and I was asleep within 5 minutes.
That's so weird, man.
But then sometimes I'll have like a sleep like that where I've literally been so, like my partner's like see me there and I've not moved and I'm there and I'm like, and she's just like, look at me like, is he all good? Like, I'm literally like I'm dead.
It's like you're Dracula, dude.
Yeah, legit.
Chamber.
Like gone and nothing, not just like a barely breathing thing, just sort of there, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like, and then I'll wake up and I'm so tired and I've just slept for like 9 hours. But I'm like, where have I been? And I don't remember a thing. I don't remember dreams. I don't remember anything.
You mustn't go through the cycles of sleep, like deep sleep, REM sleep, and all that kind of stuff. It's just like boom, boom.
No, but on the recordings, it shows when I go deep.
Oh, really?
So it does show when I go deep, but it's like, I'm just at this gone, like full gone. And then that's where sleep paralysis hasn't been as bad, sort of the last, tell a lie. Holy fuck. Well, I guess there was one when I was traveling Europe, and then I guess it wasn't really a sleep paralysis, but it was like, I was just asleep, and I was like watching myself, but I was fucked, watching myself from above the bed, and I was sleeping next to some other guy who was like we were on a tour, a tour. I was sleeping next to some other guy, like we're in 2 separate beds, and I get up. As I'm watching myself, as I'm asleep, I get up and I walk over to this dude's bed and I'm standing over this guy, bro, cold asleep. But I'm watching all this happen. And then this guy like wakes up and freaks the fuck out. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I just look and I'm just watching myself. And then I just turn and walk back to my bed, bro, and just go back to sleep. And then like I wake up the next morning and I'm like, and then he's like, do you remember what the fuck happened last night? I was like, oh, that like genuinely happened. Like I thought I thought it was a dream.
Yeah.
But I was there watching, so I thought that I was walking.
You were astrally watching your physical body get up
and move to this dude. And bro, I was looking over this, literally like this. Bro, just staring. Man, that poor kid didn't even know to buy soap on his tour. And he's got this fucking creep going over me like, dude, crazy. I would have punched the dude out. I would have been so scared. I'm like, what are you doing? But it was crazy, man. And I just had no control of what was happening. It just went up, done its thing, and kind of went back. And I'm like, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't understand what happens when I go to sleep or how. Yeah, it's very rare for me to dream. Very rare. Unless someone sort of woke me up in the night, and then maybe I'm trying to get back to sleep a little bit.
Yeah.
I might have a little dream towards, I don't know, the last hour or so before I wake up. But
has it gotten better since you've been meditating and doing yoga and these?
Massively better.
Yeah.
Massively better. So like way less. Sleep paralysis is way less, although I still have no idea what I do when I sleep.
Oh, you have no memory of dreams and stuff?
No. Probably like Moonlight. His secret life in the middle of the night.
Legit, is it not Paranormal Activity? Inception or whatever it is? Or the guy goes in the dreams and he gets like stuck in his dream or whatever?
Too deep.
Too deep.
Yeah.
I was like, because like one of my healers, she would sort of say like, I do astro like project and travel and just go out when I sleep and sort of come back into this body and I like drift and wander around.
I've got a theory for you.
But yeah, I'm keen because it's very interesting.
It is a real phenomenon that you can be trained in your dreams by spirit guides or by spirit or even extraterrestrials. Mm-hmm. They like when someone gets abducted by an extraterrestrial, they get abducted and they're missing time, like 5-6 hours. The time is just removed from the memory complex, and they get culture training on since all that through history. So things like removing racism, being more loving and being more kind, and just being coached essentially by these beings. My dad experienced getting this kind of training with spirit in his dreams, where he would have a certain dream of sales, who was doing role plays, And the next day he would have that exact same scenario take place.
Oh, wow.
And he'd get deja vu and he'd know what to say, like that. And Robert Bruce we spoke to as well, being taken by the aliens, missing the time. So the theory could be that during your dream state, you're being trained by either extraterrestrials or by spirit, and you don't have access to those memories yet. But you will get given a code or a symbol that will activate those memories, that will just compound like when the time is right.
Damn.
And you might start clicking into those and having all this, 10, 20 years of training just turn on one day. Or
I like
in
that.
certain
That sounds epic.
Yeah.
Let's turn that switch on, baby.
So
Wow.
like how that can actually work is there's been a time
Wow.
I astral traveled and there was a man waiting for me, and I asked him what his name was. He was like, I can't give you my name.
My name Jeff.
And then, immediately I had this recognition.
What's up, Jeff?
I'm just fucked up on drugs. But, one of my mates. But anyway, he wouldn't give me his name, and I was like, and I had instant recognition of I knew why, because his name would trigger certain memories and associations that I'm not able to have access to yet, whether it's past life or
Oh,
dream
wow.
state
Okay.
or whatever. So you heard what a schema is?
No.
It's like a certain word will trigger a certain neural circuit in your brain to all the different memories. So it could be a smell of eucalyptus. You get these memories of childhood when you lived near a park or something.
Okay, yep.
You know,
Yep.
I think Albert Einstein used to use orange peels. Whenever he would deeply study, he'd
Yeah.
smell the oranges,
Yeah.
and that would trigger his memories for
Yeah.
that. So there will come a time where you will find this word or symbol or happening where you activate those memories. I feel
That really makes sense, yeah. And I don't doubt that, because it's been happening for so long, and then for my healer to say, yeah, she knows that I go off and I'm completely out. And it's like, it's always been something that's been spoke about to a lot of healers that I've seen, like spoken to me about, in regards to like, you were born with a very open third eye, like you're very, very spiritually inclined. Obviously mum and stuff is as well, and all that kind of stuff. So it was come from that area. And that would make sense in regards to where I go, because I literally have not, I've tried to do research on it. I don't understand, other than that sort of makes sense as to where or why it doesn't come up, because it's not that it's a bad thing, dreams and stuff like that and stuff, but it's just consistently in a state of like, I'm gone, and my body literally does not move. I don't roll, I don't think, I don't toss around unless someone physically moves me and then wakes me up and startles me.
That's the sign they've just literally gone.
Yeah.
But the other theory is that your soul or spirit is actually having a second life, doing certain works or certain tasks, allotted to it the same way your contract or soul contract will be on Earth. You have a spiritual contract as well. So you're doing something in the astral realm, or either you're helping people turn over. So if there's people on Earth who are sort of lost or stuck, don't want to move on, you can go down and help them move on, because you're vibrationally attuned to the Earth. So you could be working separately to your physical self, like a psyche split. And it seems like you've already tapped into that, because when you're astral traveling and looking at yourself, you're aware of yourself looking at yourself, but also you're aware of yourself in your body. So your psyche split, and you have two separate memories. So therefore you have that ability.
Oh yeah,
to
no
do
shit. That
two
is two
things
separate memories.
Yeah.
to have two things at once, which is obviously maybe what you're doing, but you can't access those memories yet, because it'll be a lot to take in all those memories and have two separate lives living on in your head until you can integrate the two, or you may not until you pass on. Then you'll integrate the two.
Damn.
Ah.
Yeah,
So in other
one of
words-
those two. It has to be one of those two.
Yeah, wow.
Or some kind of disorder.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there's books about this. The people that do that.
Yeah, I'll have to have a read up, because it's crazy. But there's been times where like as well, like I'll just be there and I'm like, okay, and I'm just full like paralyzed. Like I don't know, I'm in my head and I literally can't move and I'm just complete asleep. And then, but I'm just there and it's like, okay, nothing will move. I'm just literally, I don't know, in like a coma sort of a thing. And then it's like, yeah, there'll be another time where it's like I'm completely out staring at everything that's happening and understanding what's happening. And I'm like, what? It just freaked me out at first, but now I'm sort of like, oh, if it kind of happens, I just, as it's happening, I kind of just let it unfold, sort of a thing.
So you've never had dreams ever?
No, I do have a dream every now and then. It's just super rare. Like it, I'm trying to think back. The last time I had an actual dream, I probably couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'd have to literally stop and think back of when I actually had like a dream or remembered having that dream.
Yeah.
And it's so, you ask anyone that's like, I'm so deep when I sleep. But as soon as you touch me, to wake my physical body up or something. Or say like, Jordan, wake up, I'm bang. I'm like that so quick, I'm awake. But I'm like, when I'm moving and asleep, I'm so out of it unless you physically want me to wake back up. Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you knock me in thing or whatever and I'm around, I'm so out of it, I have no idea what's going on. I'm completely, but if you're like, Jordan's time to get up, I'll just be like, okay, it's time to get up. And when my alarm goes off, I'm up straight away.
Wow. But
You don't too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Robert Bruce technique of accessing memories, because he was abducted by aliens, and he said that he could recall the memory by doing his technique he used to do on it, which is really simple. So he goes back to his earliest memory he can possibly find. So for you, go back to your earliest memory you can find where you had a dream. How hard it will be, but eventually you'll find it. And you sit in meditation and just really focus on this dream and then try and activate all of your senses. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? How are your emotions? The tactile, sensory, everything. And really sit in those things and this weight, keep sitting in it and trying to live it over and over and over again. And eventually it'll expand and expand and expand.
Oh yeah, that's
and you may get like, you build this map where this association might trigger a memory of another dream you had yesterday or the day before or a week before. And then you'll jump into that as much as you can. But over a course of weeks or months, maybe even years, you'll actually open up this map and start recalling and opening those parts of your mind or your soul.
Wow.
Yeah, because Greg Braden believes that our neurons contain nothing. They're just like antennas into our auric field. So when you access those neurons, it goes into your auric field and you can pull in more, if that makes sense. So when you're putting them into your neurons, you're activating there's more antenna, which you can activate more of your soul, which is surrounding you. So it's a good technique to try.
Yeah.
To see
That'd be
Yeah,
pretty cool,
that would be pretty interesting. Yeah.
I haven't
pretty
tried it
good,
yet.
yeah.
But
I'm gonna try that to remember my dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because you get out like people, especially when I was younger, I'd always be like, I had the sickest dream last night and thing, and I'm like, why am I not dreaming? Like, I didn't really understand what it was when I was younger. I was like, why am I not dreaming? And then I didn't really understand like that whole sleep paralysis or any of that sort of stuff. I was like to mum, I was like, what is going on? Like, why is it like that? But that's sort of it'd be really interesting to see if you can start unlocking things like that and then bringing that and just sitting with that and turning towards that dream, like during a meditation and seeing what starts to come up in your body. It'd be quite interesting to see what bodily sensations or emotions or things are attached to that as you sit through it.
True.
Because it's quite confronting sitting and turning towards anything during a meditation if you start to do it properly, like a self-inquiry. Why is this coming up and what is it?
True. The intention's so powerful. You can just start to open things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, just sitting with it. If it's not so great, working through it. And if it is great, still riding along with it as well.
Can you astral travel?
Well,
have you experienced it in different ways?
Not that I can recall, no.
Okay.
I think, I only presume it does some sort of stuff when I go to sleep like that. I just haven't been able to access that yet. I've had, not astral travel as in sleeping. So I just had I've had pre-visions and stuff of what's going to happen in the future. Like whether it's going to happen in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Like I've had a vision of that come through. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is going to happen. And then it sort of happens. I'm like, wow, okay, I've just seen that.
That's awesome.
But I've not really had a sense of like gone over there and then sat in with things. Whereas like, I know mums, we used to get a lot of messages through her dreams when she was like a few years back, would be like, see this person pass away, and then would wake up and call back to Ireland and phone, just like, what's happened to blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I don't know why. She's like, you should check. And then they're dead and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So she's gone through and seen all these things. But I haven't really recalled seeing it. But I reckon maybe if I turn towards it and put intentions towards it, I could start to see what was coming up or something. You know what I mean?
Big world out there.
Yeah, it's never ending.
Do you believe you actually get messages from dreams? You can possibly get.
For sure.
Is it the same for everyone, or like everyone is different?
I reckon there's messages in dreams for sure. Whether it's good, bad, whether it's deep or thing, whether it's not. Yeah, I definitely reckon there's messages in dreams. 100%.
Yeah, heaps of artists. Even Einstein got the relativity theory from a dream he had.
Yeah.
It was like a lightning strike in a train, and he realized, it's relative to the people on the train compared to out the train. That sparked the whole idea of relativity from a dream that he had.
Damn.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's sick.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely reckon there's messages in there for sure. Whether you want to break them down and work through them or not, that's like a different story. I don't think every dream is as well. Like, I was kicking the footy with my mate. What happened there? Why was I kicking the footy with him?
I didn't even like that guy.
He's like, why was I kicking my left foot? I kicked my right foot. Yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely reckon there's
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, just to started recording my dreams a bit more, but it's just like a one paragraph. I'm like, huh, I'll come back to that. It just never happens.
I always get told like whenever I do dream from like my healer, write down your dreams, and I'm like, yeah, all right. But like, and then I'll get back to a session. She's like, so what have you dreamed about lately? I'm like, well, one night I was talking to a dog, and that's all I remember out of the last 6 months, and that was it. Do you know what I mean? And she's
Oh,
just like,
damn.
yeah, because she reckons like some dreams, no matter how wacky they are, if you start writing them down, it might be like, oh, like the most weirdest dream ever, but there could be relations as to why you're thinking that.
Okay,
Which is what
yeah.
she believes. She's like, just write it down. There's meanings behind everything. When it's like, how weird. You're like, why the fuck was I like a frog talking to a dog or something? I don't know. You know what I mean? Just like weird shit that happens in the dream, or like your best friend was, I don't know, getting with your girlfriend or something like real weird stuff that we would never experience. And it could be a subconscious reason for why you're dreaming that or why you're seeing that or something like that. Yeah. That's sort of what the healers have told me. But I was like, man, she's like, where? I was like, I got nothing. I literally see black when I go to dreams. So, yeah. But she reckons you can break down stuff and it works with why that's coming up as to how you can progress. Because at the moment, my stage is working through a lot of past life stuff.
Yeah.
To free the traumas for now to move forward. So she's like, a lot of that comes up through dreams, like past life stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but I was like, I haven't really been dreaming. So.
I've had some past life stuff come up the last few weeks.
Have ya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dreams?
Interesting. In dreams and also meditations.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not true.
It's interesting. Little flashes of little things like that. And even like, I can even ask certain questions. Like I sit before I go to sleep, and like I intend to have a dream of my past life with this particular person, and I'll program it before I sleep. And then when I go to sleep, more often than not, I'll have a dream associated with that. Well, I don't know if it's me making it up.
Yeah.
But it'd be pretty impressive for me to make that shit up. But
Yeah.
it seems pretty realistic.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sick.
How vividly do you remember your dreams though?
50% of the time, quite vividly.
Yeah.
And quite real and tactile. Other times it's just like vague happenings that you just, what the fuck? And you just lose it. Normally I wake up, haven't enough miles yet, I can remember the dream. I wake up, get some food, come back, dream's gone.
Oh yeah.
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 For me to like be able to remember the dream, I have to write it down as soon as I wake up.
Yeah,
it's
straight
the only
away.
way. Yeah.
Or even like a couple dot points.
Yeah.
And that way you can reflect on it later.
Yeah.
Those little.
Well, were you like dreaming and then wake up in the middle of the night when you dream? Or was this like, you mean, write it down when you wake up in the
when
morning?
I wake up in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really. I used to wake up in the middle of the night a lot. I don't do that anymore. I figured out it's because I was like really dehydrated.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I was really dehydrated. It's like I used to wake up in the middle of the night all the time. And I couldn't figure it out why. And then like I had
Your
a
mouth
like.
wasn't dry?
Yeah. I was just thinking of like wine mouth, eh? Like you drink too much wine, you wake up in the night, you're like,
No, like I had like a sleep expert. I'd explain it to a sleep expert. It's like, dude, that's not good. It's like, you're probably like really dehydrated. It's like, do you drink enough water? It's like, oh, probably not. And then I started drinking water and then like stopped waking up in the middle of the night. But usually it's like, if I dream, for me to like remember it, I have to write it down as soon as I wake up.
that makes sense,
Yeah, as soon as I wake up. Like occasionally I'm able to like, if I really need to take a piss, I'd wake up, go take a piss, come back and I can continue a dream, which happens sometimes. But most of the time I have to like, if I don't write down at least like 2 or 3 lines right after I wake up, if it's pretty much the same as bread. I go get breakfast, come back, sit down, it's gone.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, can you just repeat that?
So through black magic,
Yeah.
you get scars. Like so, if you're
Scratches.
scratches, bro. It's like scars in your aura, scars in your heart, depending on how deep you go through that black magic.
Wow.
Because that's not good spiritual stuff. That's not. Yes, there's bad spirits and demons and stuff. But when you start dealing with that whole world, that's when you can see, and then the healers have to go through and work with.
So to scratch your aura, and that causes breaks in the aura, so they can
so,
things can get in and out.
Yeah, and it's not healthy at all. So
Let's not go there. Let's not go
yeah,
there. Let's not go there.
Fuck it. That shit's
But I've got a story
scary.
for you. There's a friend of mine. He was a pastor in Africa, and he used to remove demons and dark spirits from people. That was his job, and he was telling his son different stories about it. But what popped up was while his son was playing a video game, some evil killing video game, one of the characters yelled out this name, and the dad's like, "What the fuck? That name is a real demon's name that I spoke to in a expelling or exorcism in Africa." So like they're putting real names of dark entities in video games that are actually been proven to be real.
That's fucked.
This goes like that.
That's it. Well, it's 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's a wrap, man.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Awesome.
bro.
Thanks,
Yeah.
boys.
Amazing, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much,
Cheers.
dude.
Thank you.